Pecharunt might be the most irritating Pokemon in VGC. It doesn't try to one-shot you or do any crazy plays, it just makes you want to throw your switch across the room. It starts with the move Poison Gas, hitting both opponents with poison in one turn. But that's just the setup. Its ability, Poison Puppeteer, makes every poison target confused too. Suddenly, your opponents are losing health to poison every turn and smacking themselves in the face while trying to fight back. While they're poisoned, Pecharunt can attack with Hex, which has a base power of 130 while the opponent's poisoned. Then, paired with Miraidon's Hadron Engine ability, Pecharunt gets a boost to its special defense with the held item Electric Seed, solidifying its defenses even more. With this toxic game plan in place, let's see how far we can get in the ranked ladder with one of, if not the most annoying Pokemon allowed in Regulation J. Getting into Game 1, we have a pretty strange team here to be playing ranked with. There's no restricteds, but there is Torkoal, which is a pretty big powerhouse, Hitmontop, which can learn Wide Guard and effectively shut us down here, and then also that Excadrill, which we can't poison, so it's looking like a battle that favors us power-wise, but they almost have a bit of an edge just as far as the team members that they're bringing. So the Intimidate comes off, not really going to affect us in the slightest. The Sandstorm isn't really much of a concern. On the first turn I end up tearing Pecharunt to Dark. I was just a little bit afraid of what the Tyranitar was going to be able to do if I didn't Terra here. So it's more of a defensive play. Fake Out comes out onto Miraidon, which is kind of a bummer since the Dazzling Gleam was going to do pretty darn good damage. And what I ended up doing was, I thought for sure this Hitmontop was going to Wide Guard, which was going to block Dazzling Gleam or Poison Gas. It didn't. So I just doubled into it, but since the Fake Out came out, nothing really came of it. But a really weird turn. And then a Sucker Punch from the Hitmontop, just no Wide Guard coming out. So this turn I was pretty sure that he wasn't going to Wide Guard a second time, and he ends up fainting before he would have been able to anyways. So Hitmontop goes down. The Tyranitar is still a very big threat to both of these Pokemon, but Poison Gas gets off. And thanks to Pecharunt's ability, Tyranitar also is confused while being poisoned, so I'm hoping at this point that Tyranitar is not going to be much of a threat. You'll kind of see through this video that I don't get the best confusion luck. Rock Slide gets off and takes out Miraidon. I'm pretty certain that Miraidon was going to go down to the Sandstorm anyways, just not going to give me any sort of chance there. Pecharunt gets hit by the Sandstorm for basically 0 damage, and Tyranitar takes a good chunk from the poison. I send out Urshifu to follow up. I run the Water-type Urshifu on this team, which came in real handy against especially the Tyranitar, but also the Excadrill that came out. He Terras here, and it was actually kind of surprising to me that he ended up tearing the Tyranitar to a Ghost type. I had been considering hexing into the Tyranitar spot, which would have turned out really, really well for me. I didn't end up doing it because who predicts a Ghost Terra, like, what, turn 3 or something? Especially with that Earthquake coming out. Just kind of weird. Hex goes into Excadrill, taking it out, and that's the Steel-type threat off of the board for us, so Pecharunt should be able to poison anything else that comes out here. Tyranitar, again, hits through the confusion. I know it's only like a, pretty small % chance. Just wait. Especially in the 4th game, just wait and see. Sandstorm goes around, just kind of doing chip damage. And Tyranitar, since he Terra'd, is going to start taking damage from both the Sandstorm and from the poison. A little bit of a questionable decision. Torkoal comes out and changes it to Sunlight. Aqua Jet doing not any sort of damage that I was thinking of. Hex is able to take out Tyranitar, of course. It really should have taken him out a turn earlier. Sometimes you just don't trust yourself, and that's how it turns out. So we're in a pretty good position right here, but this Heat Wave out of Torkoal just kind of shakes things up for me. Takes out both of my Pokemon. And the only thing I've got in the back is Incineroar. My last hope against this Torkoal is Incineroar, and it's definitely a support build Incineroar. It's Rocky Helmet, it's Fake Out, Will-O-Wisp is pointless, Parting Shot is pointless. All I've got is Knockoff. Weirdly enough, Knockoff is all I needed. I can go ahead and speed this up. So Fake Out does a little bit of chip damage, of course gets the flinch. Knockoff number 1 will do about, call it a quarter of his health, and knock off Choice Specs. Knock off number 2. Another chunk off of there. Heat Wave. I'm just barely out damaging this Torkoal and finally take it out. Hey, this is a part of the video where I ask you to like and subscribe. I'm new to YouTube, new to VGC, and clearly bad at it, so if you want to help me get better, subscribe, like the video, and leave your hate comments below. I need them. Thanks. So getting into game 2, we're against another kind of strange team. I'm in a weird point in the ladder where you get teams like Regice, Groudon, Latios. It's kind of fun, it's kind of weird, especially when they're using something like Ally Switch. This close combat from Urshifu ends up going off into the Latios. Does a lot more damage than I expected. Critical hit, partially to thank for that. The defenses drop on Urshifu, and Wicked Blow goes into Pecharunt. But Pecharunt's gigantic defense stat, even without the boost from Electric Seed, is able to tank that no problem. I get the Poison Gas off, and it lands on both of them, which, of course, with that ability, is going to also confuse both of them. And I'm thinking at this point, I've got really, really good odds of, maybe a double confusion, both of them hitting themselves, maybe at least one each turn. It's so bad out here. You'll see. You will see. But the poison damage goes onto both of them. It's a pretty good chunk. So I just protect with Pecharunt. I'm just trying to keep Pecharunt around. I'm expecting Urshifu to hit into that protect. You'll be surprised that he went for Sucker Punch, which I don't really understand it. Urshifu, of course, having the ability to hit through protect, but going for Sucker Punch? I don't know. Latios hits itself in confusion. Very big. Close combat would have blown it apart anyways. I was just trying to be sure. I was also kind of considering the Ally Switch again. I don't know why they would do that. It would maybe be one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in ladder. I'll take knocking out Latios. That's not so bad. Very good turn for me. They send out Regice, and I'm frothing at the mouth for another close combat. They go ahead and Terra the Regice here to something I wasn't expecting. They Terra Flying? I don't know if anyone can explain to me why Regice Terra'd Flying, especially against the Pokemon that I have out right now. I guess just to not be Ice type and not get one-shot by Urshifu, but Flying just seems like a weird choice. Is it something to avoid like Earth Power? Or like EQ or something? Definitely let me know. Urshifu takes out Pecharunt. I just kind of had accepted it at this point. And the Regice goes for Thunderbolt. Was I the only one that didn't know that Regice can get Thunderbolt? Because I had no clue. I did not think that Regice was going to even be a threat to Urshifu, much less do... I know I was -2 on special defense, but tough turn for Urshifu. I bring out my last 2 Pokemon. We have Incineroar and Miraidon. I kind of considered whether I should have had Miraidon come in earlier to get the Electric Seed to trigger, but against this many physical attackers, I mean, Pecharunt was basically done by the time that Miraidon would have made it in. The opponent switches out into Groudon, and this Groudon is kind of the bane of my existence. I Terra Miraidon into Fairy type to try to get stab on Dazzling Gleam, hoping that it's going to chunk these Pokemon down pretty well. Miraidon is an absolute powerhouse, and I have choice specs on this one as well, so even more power behind it. I really should know a few of these calcs, because that's not good damage. That's pretty terrible damage. The Blizzard comes out, doesn't really do a lot to Miraidon. Second turn here, another Dazzling Gleam. Takes them down so close, but Precipice Blades gets off, and look at this damage. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. I go for the knockoff onto Regice. I kind of wonder if this battle turns out different if I go for knockoff onto Groudon instead, because it definitely would have finished off Groudon, and I think there's a lot higher value that I can get from removing Groudon versus removing the Regice. Sucker Punch from Urshifu takes out Miraidon, of course, and this is a familiar situation. I've just got my support Incineroar on the field. Is there a way out of this? Incineroar thinks so. Incineroar dodges the Precipice Blades and hits a knockoff onto Groudon. And all of a sudden it's looking like, maybe there's a path here. maybe there's some sort of a way that Incineroar will be able to take out this poisoned Urshifu. It's looking close. It's not close. Wicked Blow easily takes out Incineroar. And that'll wrap it up for Game 2. Getting into Game 3 here, our opponent's using, again, another weird team. This part of the ladder is actually kind of fun, but it's also really, really weird. They had an Okidogi, very fitting for a Pecharunt video. I have never played against an Okidogi, and I don't really know what it does. I especially don't know what Regidrago or Iron Boulder or Zarude usually do. Weird team. I know what Tornadus does. I've heard of that one before. Turn 1, I go ahead and Terra Miraidon into Fairy, and I set up Tailwind, just sort of a heavy setting up turn here. Miraidon's Dazzling Gleam goes off and does, again, this Specs Miraidon is disgusting. Ivy Cudgel here, lands, and of course crits. I did a calculation for this one. Crit mattered. I live 100% of the time unless he crits. Well, you know, Prankster Tailwind, it gets off, we're fine. Toxic Chain from Okidogi does poison Miraidon. I'm looking to get a little bit of payback here. I'm the one that does the poisoning, not you. I go ahead and send out Incineroar, though. I'm keeping Pecharunt in the back. Intimidate goes off. We see Clear Amulet on Okidogi. I assume that's pretty standard to run. Definitely let me know if that's not the case. I go ahead and fake out Okidogi just to keep it from poisoning Incineroar, what else it was going to do. Dazzling Gleam takes them both out. Critical hit. Hey, thanks for the completely useless critical hit game. That really makes me feel better about the Ivy Cudgel that in no universe kills Tornadus except for the one where it crits. I'm not mad about it. Why would I be mad about it? Poison almost takes on Miraidon, but it sticks around. Regidrago comes out from the opponent, as does Tornadus. Really weird to keep Tornadus in one of the back spots, in my opinion. I feel like if you're going to have Tornadus, you should lead with Tornadus or just not bring it. They go ahead and Terra Regidrago into Dragon. This was also questionable. I'm just going to blow this apart with Miraidon. But they get the Tailwind off, and I will get outsped here. And they go for Dragon Energy. That doesn't do anything to Miraidon, so I guess they're just after the Incineroar, who's kind of already served his purpose, but he hangs on. This is a really well-spec'd Incineroar. It's able to live stuff with very, very low percentage every time. I don't know the numbers on it. All I know is that it's magical. Dazzling Gleam obviously blows apart the Regidrago, and we're in a good position here. This match is looking pretty well rounded up for us. I use Parting Shot here just to try to, avoid any sort of Bleak Windstorm magic that he's trying to cook up. And Incineroar comes out, and we have the appearance of the Pokemon that the entire video is about. Pecharunt was on the team. I promise Pecharunt was on the team. Didn't look like it, didn't seem like it mattered, but Miraidon goes down to poison, so maybe it did matter? Maybe Pecharunt's going to save this game? No, of course not. It's not really going to do anything here. We're going to have the Fake Out from Incineroar go ahead and flinch the Tornadus so it's not able to do anything. And when you think about it, the Killing Blow, the 0 HP Hex, that's the real power of Pecharunt. Coming in, clean up crew, taking out the last one, taking us into Game 4. And at the start of Game 4, another kind of fun team. I was kind of scared of the Chi-Yu that they were bringing, and also Mewtwo. I know nothing about Mewtwo, but turn 1, I'm like, I'm going to taunt their Tornadus. I'm max speed. I'm going to taunt them. They're going to go for Tailwind. It's going to fail. I'm going to be a genius. If you couldn't tell, the fact that Urshifu went first means that they did not go for Tailwind. I tried to outplay so hard that I outplayed myself. On the upside, I did manage to make it so that they can't get Tailwind up. And I, of course, get Poison Gas off onto both of them. So I'm going to be able to set up Tailwind on the next turn. Well, they're not going to be able to. They're going to have to switch out if they really want it. This guy didn't seem like he knew much of what he was doing as far as what Tornadus is good for. Or maybe he was just reading me so hard that he knew Bleak Wind was going to go through and that anything else he used wasn't. It's hard to tell if these people are geniuses or if they're in my rating for a reason. But I set up Tailwind on turn 2. just to get that speed advantage that is going to actually be a very big part of this game going forward. And this is the first Hex on a poisoned opponent. You see that damage on an Urshifu? That's big damage. Urshifu does not bother hitting itself and gets the taunt off onto Tornadus, but damage is already done. Tornadus has already set up Tailwind, has already taunted their Tornadus, and Confusion again just does nothing. Just like that, Tornadus also does nothing with Bleak Wind Storm. Just not very much damage coming out, which again, this seems like a case of someone who found a really good rental team and then just played it very poorly. So I give him a taste of his own medicine, take out the Urshifu, drop the speed on the Tornadus like that was going to matter. Pecharunt goes for the Hex onto the Tornadus, and it manages to live with like 0 health, probably less than 0 health. And of course does not, of course doesn't hit itself in Confusion. Why would it do that? I clearly have really good chances with Confusion. Can someone go through this video and tell me how many times a Pokemon that was confused didn't hit itself? Because I feel like I'm well below odds with the results here. Someone let me know if my luck is really bad or if my math is really bad. Anyways, field is wiped. We're going into our last 2 on both sides here. I've got Urshifu and Miraidon. He sends out Rillaboom, and here I'm just going no Chi-Yu, no Chi-Yu, no Chi-Yu. And it's Mewtwo, which I guess technically Chi-Yu would have been beneficial to me with the water type. I don't know what Mewtwo's going to do. Anytime that they have a very, off of the normal restricted mon, I get a little bit scared. And at least I know, what to do with it. I don't know. I go ahead and Terra into Fairy here. It's kind of what I do with every single game with this Miraidon. And Dazzling Gleam, of course, is going to hit like a truck, but not before he Terras the Mewtwo into Dark. Great Terra. Great work, buddy. That's definitely going to survive very well. Dazzling Gleam, you should be used to it by now. Choice Specs makes this a monster, and Mewtwo hangs on, not with a sash, just with luck. But I U-turn into Mewtwo. I had a feeling I was going to need to double it, and I'm very glad that I did. Tailwind, of course, means that there's no chance that I was going to get outsped. I could have Aqua Jetted if I really wanted to make sure. Woodhammer comes in and absolutely beats Urshifu. I'm ahead here, right? I don't think that Rillaboom's going to be able to take me out without even taking itself out. I mean, the damage that it took off of that Woodhammer, it's not going to last. That will wrap up Game 4. Pecharunt. Really weird restricted mon, really weird strategy, but it seems to work out. 3 for 4 on the day. See you in the next one.